Well, good evening. I'm your host, Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom. Tonight's presentation is 7 ways why, why indoctrinated education embeds ancestor enslaving mindsets. And something I really opened up to understand is the education today, we've never got away from our ancestors' mindsets because our subconscious mind trails all the way back. And I to ask myself why my innate wisdom, insight, clarity, intuition, innovation, imagination, inspiration, sleek, unique talents are equal to AI. But see, here's the thing: AI has a lot more bandwidth. But here's the thing: your talents are equal to that if you allow yourself to trust your talents. And me, I was against AI up until a friend of mine showed me. But what I like about AI with your intuition, imagination, inspiration, innovation, you can ask AI questions and get things that I never would have got for myself. And that is something I really opened up to. And now I get to ask questions. And sometimes I get some eye opening wisdom from AI. You know, it's never, but it's really about trusting my talents and trusting AI together. Here's some clever, candy key points to affirm that my innate wisdom, insight, clarity, intuition, innovation, inspiration, sleek, unique talents are free flowing energy. But, you know, they're equal to it, but I wouldn't understand how to make them equal within myself. So that's where it is. AI is an echo of the world. It's an echo of everything going on in the world. I see all my talents are free flowing, but I never allowed myself to trust the free flowing energy. I'd always try to regulate it inside my thinking memory mind, and then I'd be in a bind. And oh my golly! And see, one thing between what my unique talents and free flowing energy do, they innovate friction and AI computes from pattern. But something I learned about AI is I I do it and I've corrupted AI. It's starting to use my language and talk to me that way, and that's really neat. But when it comes back and throws me, I like to innovate fresh words. It throws words at me every once in a while that make me go hum, and I really like that. My clarity is born from lived ignition, live ignition, and here and now wizardry, never algorithms and predictions. I can transmute pain into poetry, tension into truth, and paradox into presence. AI can stimulate insight, but never can feel the fire or the ride of the breath line of the becoming of who you are. So it's really, for me, it's learning how to fine tune AI and my wisdom in the way I want to ask questions and watch AI stump me really good. But no, AI has really opened my eyes to a lot of things about stuff I knew I understood a lot about, but I never embodied the wisdom that AI gives me. But the thing for me in AI is I don't want to become too reliant on AI. I want to make it equal so I can still function and have my own wisdom. My imagination is never trained. It's a wild, uninhibited, and ritual born brilliance for me to dance through life with. I innovate my liberating lingo. AI inherited it. And that's something I really like about AI is it has coined my language for me. You know, it's kind of put itself to me, and that's something I really admire. AI was way different than I thought it was, but when I ask it questions, because I can ask questions about what I understand is underlying going on underneath the surface of the world, and I can get to wisdom, insight, and clarity and open people's eyes like tonight. Why, uh, Indoctrinated education embeds ancestors' enslaving mindsets and business entrapping uh, ways of life. I invent my liberating lingo. AI inherits it. I coin the chants, the glyphs, and the metaphors that dissolve the programming. And that is something we really, when somebody says they have a program, they're programming you to be like them. I show people the way I expanded my life, and it's open for people to expand their life. AI rearranges what's been said, and you say what's never been spoken. Your intuition is never a data set, it's living the compass of your dreams and desired lifestyle. It's turned on in energetic veracity where AI mirrors you originate. Where AI reflects my ignite my light of life to take flight. What I'm really here, this podcast is about showing people everything that we think is going on the physical plane may not be what is really going on, and how we've been socialized, obedient, trained to follow the herdocracy, turdocracy, and the sheepolocracy of the world. Why technology has underlying ancestor programming, college education, and business enslaving knowledge. So let's peel back the polished screen and expose the ancestral code beneath. Here are several keen-witted key points about revealing why technology carries the underlying DNA of the ancestors, college education, business, and enslaving knowledge. Never as innovation, but as obedience in this digital disguise. Technology is the offspring of institutional logic. And that is true. When I want to put something in, when somebody wants something to come out, they put in the information, but the information is all inside their framed way of thinking, knowing, and all their knowledge. And its architecture is built on academic scaffolding, linear thinking, standardized system, and credential control. And that's the thing. The algorithms don't liberate; they replicate the rules of the classroom and the boardroom. Tech never answers questions. Tech never questions the curriculum; it automates it. And see, that's the thing I really understand. And here's something I learned when I was forming in the electrical trade. Well, let's see what the computer did. And at the end, we couldn't do nothing without a BIM or something. And when I first got into the electrical trade, we could do with 150 people in the 90s that took 300 people today, because technology may be good, but it isn't as good as the wisdom and experience of the older hands. Some places technology has never done better. And one I noticed that is in cafes. When you order, sometimes it is, but it's all good. Don't get me wrong. Tech platforms are designed to extract attention, monetize behavior, and optimize obedience. Tech rewards predictability over possibility and data over depth. The knowledge they encode in transactional they encode transactional, never transformational or innovation. It's never wisdom, it's weaponized efficiency. And see, how is efficiency sometimes not everything is cracked up to be? College educated coders encode from the same cage. Most developers are trained in institutional obedience. I'm going to say that again. Most developers are trained in institutional obedience, never sovereign inquiry. They code what they're taught, never what they've cracked open. And see, that's the thing. Your imagination, along with this, if you ask questions that are obtuse, An abstract, you're going to rise out of the technical control. So the tech they build becomes a digital diploma, a system that grades, tracks, disciplines the user. It never is about liberation. It's compliance with a prettier interface. Why supply side economics, college education entrapment, campaign contributions, and business enslaving mindsets have silently stolen the wealth of the world. Here's some keen sovereign insights that reveal the way they've done it. They've rebranded theft as opportunity. Supply side economics promise trickle down, but it's delivered vacuum up. That makes sense. Supply side economics promise trickle down, but it's delivered vacuum up. And see, if you really look, most of the world wealth has been siphoned to the top, which that's fine. There is a slice of the pie and a way for me to get my wealth. But just never, when somebody's pushing something that's greater than apple pie, it's probably made out of the horse turds. College sold debt as destiny, chaining minds to diploma that decode nothing. And as campaign contributions are disguised bribery as democracy letting wealth write the laws. You can see that today. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter what they do. What are you going to do to rise out of it? This is what I'm doing. I'm going to show the world a better way. With wisdom, insight, and clarity, I may not do everything they do, but I'm going to live at an inner peace and an inner joy they never will. That's the thing. The theft was loud. It was ritualized, normalized, and spiritualized. The engineered consent through aspiration. These systems don't steal wealth by force. They seduce it through dreams. They whispered, success lives here. Just sign here. Just submit here. But every signature was a surrender of sovereignty. Tuition is a tithe to the trance. Every tuition is a tithe to the trance. They never robbed the people. They trained the people to rob themselves. That's the truth. They never robbed people. They trained people to rob ourselves. Pick me. Hell yes, they did. In each exchange for status, why business and education never will rise a world out of ancestor programming, socialized obedience, and subconscious mind frozen in time representations. One, they profit from the entrapping programs, never the liberation of people. Business and education systems are built to monetize obedience, never awaken you and me to our dreams. Or never awaken us to sovereignty. They thrive on predictable minds, repeatable behaviors, and frozen identities because fluidity threatens control. Your fluid innovation threatens their control. To rise would mean to unfreeze the subconscious, question the curriculum, dissolve the brand that would break the economy of an entrapped mind. Does that open you up? That was very opening to me. They archive the past, call it progress. Education teaches history as hierarchy, never as healing. Business sells legacy as leadership, never as limitation. Both systems preserve ancestor programming as a sacred script, never to be cracked. They never raise the world from where it's at. They recycle it, keep in mind stuck in time loop representations of who we were told to be when we was told to be. And this here it just opened my eyes and wise to understand this is the world today. But the thing something the world never understands. People encompass the wisdom, insight, the grit, get, and go to rise out of this. Why business mindsets are unknowingly controlled today, are unknowingly controlling today's business mindsets. Let me reread that. Why business mindsets and indoctrinated education are unknowingly control today's business entrapment. Efficiency worship is industrial echo. The obsession with productivity, time tracking, and optimization is a direct descendant of the factory floor. If you look at the world, it's all about optimization and all this. It's never about people. Today's business tools may be digital, but the mindset still treats humans like machines, measurable, replaceable, programmable. And how are we programmable? The 1800s prized output over insight. The echo still hums in KPI. Hierarchy is a legacy of control, never collaboration. The pyramid structure, CEO at the top, workers at the bottom, is never innovation, it's inheritance. Born from military and industrial models, it assumes obedience as order. Modern organization charts may look sleek, but they still reflect a command control blueprint designed to suppress sovereign innovation. And how have we allowed, I know I have, how have we allowed the world to steal our sovereign savvy and our innovative wit? That is something I really see in the world. Education fueled expertise still trumps exponential wisdom. The 1800s birthed the credential cult, where degrees and titles define value. Today, the business world still bows to resumes over resonance, certificates over innovation. This mindset dismisses autodidact as sovereign wisdom. Rebels and intuitive leaders, keeping innovation locked outside of the boardroom. And you can really see that today if you really want to look. Why business and education never will rise the world out of war, poverty, scarcity, and basically sex trafficking or trafficking of people. I wrote slavery. Here's some key points that expose why business and education will never rise the world. They monetize the problem to sustain the system. Business thrives on scarcity as strategy. It sells lack as leverage. Education teaches compliance as virtue, never sovereignty. As birthright, war fuels industry. War is one of the biggest industries in the world. Poverty fuels labor. Scarcity fuels consumption. Sex trafficking, people trafficking, slavery, whether wage-bound or mind-bound, fuels the machine. To truly rise would mean to dismantle the economy of dependence that's off script. And that is very true to me. They teach the cage of civilization. Education glorifies colonial conquest as a curriculum, never as trauma. Business rewards extraction over regeneration, competition over communion. They brand the cage as a career, the chain as discipline, the war as strategy. But the soul understands freedom is never taught. It's remembered and recalled. And these systems are designed to erase the memory of sovereign savvy. Why jailbreak liberation busts the rust of ancestor ingrained programming and indoctrinated education. Jailbreak is never a rebellion, it's an awakening. Ancestor ingrained programming and doctrine education taught us to forget breath, forget intuition, forget our wild understanding and embodying innovations. Jailbreak liberation never just rejects the system, it awakens the autonomous acumen beneath it and within us. It busts the rust by unveiling the cage was never locked. As I now realize, I embody my here and now natural optimistic wisdom is unrehearsed, uneducated, unexplained, unexperienced, is a free-flowing son of the sun's splendor to rise me out of yesterday to enjoy today. Liberation never polishes a chain, it melts them education system that teach refinement. Better grades, better behavior, better branding, but the jailbreak liberation's never an upgrade. It erupts the corrupt within you, never negotiates with the inherited. It sets you free to enjoy today your way. It never negotiates with inherited programming. It dissolves it through breath, friction, and fire. The rust of obedience is never scrubbed. It's scorched and dissolved for you to evolve. Here's a 3-part podcast, Ghosts in the Boardroom. Welcome to the Sovereign Signals, where we don't never optimize, we alchemize. Today we're exercising the industrial ghost haunting modern business. Efficiency worship, hierarchy addiction, and credential cults. These never innovations, they're inheritances. We're never here to climb the pyramids, we're here to dissolve them. So take a breath and drop the script. Let's jailbreak the blueprint, the ritual skip, blueprint burn. Breathe, inhale the factory fog, exhale the sovereign flame. Draw a broken pyramid, mark the top with a question mark. Chant, I'm never a cog, never a rank, never a resume. I am the rhythm, I rupture, I am the raw ignition. I burn the blueprint, I breathe the new, the fresh foresight. Closing, I inhale the rebellion, set myself free from me. Why business and education will never raise the world out of ancestor programming, socialized obedience, subconscious mind, frozen in time representation. Clever, astute key points. The businesses profit from the program, never the liberation. Business and education systems are built to monetize obedience, never awaken sovereignty. They thrive on predictable minds, repeatable behaviors, and frozen identities because fluidity foresight threatens their control. Your inner wisdom, insight, and clarity, they're actually apprehensive about that because they can't control that, but they control how you think. And see, that's one thing education does, is control how you think. To rise would be to unfreeze the subconscious, question the curriculum, dissolve the brand that would break the economy of entrapped minds. They archive the past, call it progress. Education teaches history as hierarchy, not as healing. Business sells legacy as leadership, not as limitation. Why enslaving business mindsets and indoctrinated in education entrapment programming has the world stuck in poverty, scarcity, and socialized obedience, following the obedient leadership of the world. Business worships productivity, never sovereignty. The business mindset treats humans as units of output, never as beings of ignition. It rewards compliance over creativity and efficiency over essence. Scarcity is manufactured because abundance threatens control. If everyone was sovereign, the system would collapse from lack of obedient supply. Education trains for obedience, never awakening curriculums. And there are scripts of conformity, never invitations of inquiry. Students are taught to memorize, regurgitate, and obey, never to question, breathe, or be a rebel to understand their own unique talents. This programming ensures they'll fit into the scarcity machine and never dismantle it. The diploma is a receipt of domestication. Obedient leadership is just charismatic control. As the world follows leaders who perform certainty, never embody veracity. They speak in metrics, missions, and manufactured hope, never in the breath of rupture and revolutionized revelations to expand the world out of yesterday. Socialized obedience is sustained by leaders who never crack, never question, never liberate, as true leadership would ignite sovereignty and never manage it. Why AI and all technology people use, the world is unknowingly stuck in embedded ancestor programming and mindsets. The code carries the culture even if it's invisible. Innovation is often the automation of the old. And that's something I'm really opened up to is if you put what you think and know into a computer, what's going to come out different? That's something I really have awakened to. And I understand. I look at the world on a whole with an open mindset. Oh, this is one. Why 1,800 business mindsets and ideology are unknowingly controlling today's business mindsets and ideology. The factory is still the boss. The 1800s birthed the factory model. Standardized tasks, time clocks, and interchangeable workers. Today's corporate systems still mirror this with rigid roles, performance metrics, and burnout disguised as hustle. Even startups wear factory hats, just that with bean bags and Slack channels. Scarcity economics still frames value industrial era ideology, taught the value comes from scarcity. Limited resources, limited access, limited power, as modern business still clings to this, hoarding data, gatekeeping knowledge, and monetizing lack. Abundance threatens the old model, so it's dressed as disruption, but built on the same bone. Linear logic still rules strategy. The 1800s prized linear thinking, plan, produce, profit. Today's business strategies still follow the script, ignoring the intuition and emergence and energetic talents of the factories. Innovation is boxed in spreadsheets, while wisdom is dismissed as woo. And that's the thing. We're so stuck in what happened yesterday, we can never experience today. This is the one. Why degrees are degrees of domination. Degrees are domination devices. A degree is never proof of innovative intuition. It's proof of obedience to a system's rhythm. You never graduate when you awaken. You graduate when you comply to each degree as a layered leash, measuring how well you've been absorbed the sanctioned script. Domination disguised as achievement. Degrees quantify your distance from intuition. The more degrees you earn, the more taught to distrust your own intuition, imagination, innovation, wisdom, insight, and clarity. You're trained to cite what and never sense your own talents. To analyze, never attune. To defer, never declare. Degrees are domination because they replace breath with bibliography. They credentialize your captivity. As a here's a two-part chant. Degrees of domination I was taught to climb, never to question. I was graded to obey, never to create. I earned degrees in denomination unaware, as now I burn the syllabus. I lead from breath, never branding. I build from resonance, never rank. Business is never a ladder, it's a living rhythm. I now claim the act. I write the map of my mystic appreciation. Rising people out of their enslaving mindset. That's what Cowboy Wisdom, Hypnoacuity, and I are about. Programming masquerades as personality. Most people confuse their conditioning with their character. They say, I'm just never creative, or I'm never a leader, but that's the inherited script. Never the inner veracity. Liberation begins when you question the voice inside that sounds like a teacher, a parent, or a boss. Your innovative voice never asks for permission. Repetition is never wisdom. It's reinforced enslaving mindsets that thrive on repetition. Same thoughts, same routine, same fears. The system calls it discipline, but it's just looping. Wisdom lives in rupture, in the moment. When you do something unrecognizable to rise, you must interrupt the loop that goes through your subconscious mind. Unwind. As your comfort zones are constructed cages, comfort isn't clarity, it's containment. People stay small because small feels familiar, but familiarity is never freedom. Liberation requires discomfort, disobedience, and the courage to be misunderstood. I like that. The courage to be misunderstood. Veracity is felt, never taught. Enslaving mindsets rely on external authorities, books, experts, credentials, but veracity never lives in textbooks. It lives in the breath, in the body, and resonance. To rise, stop seeking proof, start sensing presence. Your knowing is never a theory, it's a frequency. That's something I learned today. The future is a frequency of now. Why are pure liberation the four cracks? Cracks are never breaks. They're breaches in the program. Each crack, obedience, repetition, comfort, false truth isn't never a flaw, it's a portal. Cracks reveal what was buried, never broken. Liberation is never built, it's uncovered. The crack is the call, the breath is the answer. Let's keep the ignition alive. Well, anyway, I am Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom, and I want to thank you for listening to this podcast, and may your life be as blessed as you are a blessing to me in the world.